What is up, guys? It's the Nightwing Way of Life Esports coming at you guys with another League of Legends video here today, talking about the LCS 2020 Summer Split Week 4 thoughts and opinions. So just like my LEC 2020 Summer Split video that I just did, I'm going to be focusing on teams that I wanted to obviously give a good base opinion about. Just on my LOL podcast, I got a chance to get their personal opinions on these teams. I have not forgot about the other teams, but these teams right now have been sticking out to me because I think that they obviously are going through an identity crisis, and this week, specifically for League, some of the gameplay was atrocious, like even more atrocious than other weeks of the LCS. You know, the level and quality of the LCS has not been that good all year long, but to be fair, there have been some games that have been pretty okay at most, but let's start with the two teams I want to talk about first. So you have this game, which was Dignitas versus 100 Thieves. This was basically, I think, one of the worst games I've seen all year long from the LCS. Dardoch making suicide plays, Phoenix basically running it down on TF. Lorlo, Johnson, and Afromu, they actually have been playing pretty good. Lorlo, you know, coming in for Viper, there's not really any big shoes to fill because Viper was just playing like pure dog shit. And then you had Froggen, who was obviously having a really terrible split. Now, to be fair, I don't think they really should have subbed out Froggen, because Froggen, I think, you know, if you're talking about basically Phoenix and Froggen, you know, you should probably always take Froggen. I don't know if Phoenix is really going to offer anything differently than Froggen. It's not even just based off champion pool, it's just basically how they obviously impact the map. So you also have to couple that in with their bot lane, which have been getting leads. They haven't been the worst bot lane in the league. Definitely an underrated bot lane because of how bad Dig have actually been. Dig haven't won a single game yet, and if they don't actually pick up a win, you know, probably within the next few weeks, they're going to be out of playoff contention. You know, coming into the split, most people thought that IMT would have been 10th place, but people had IMT and Dig near the bottom of the standings anyway, so obviously Dig being 10th or 9th doesn't really matter, you know, at the slightest. So I think that, you know, Dig's overall gameplay is not really even set. They have a lot of players that want to do similar things, but they're never really on the same page. I think that things that Afromu wants to do and the things that Johnson can accomplish for them are going to be complemented from the other players on the squad. So Dardoch is going to obviously try to make an early game impact. That's just who he is as a player. That's just what he's going to do. We know this. We've seen this before, even on TSM. And I think they've basically undervalued him on TSM, was that they didn't let him, obviously, you know, be proactive. And even in this game, he was ultimately doing proactive things, as Dardoch always does. And I think that 100 Thieves needed this bounce back win to start, I guess, a win streak if they ever needed it. You basically had two of the worst teams in the LCS fighting each other. So, I mean, that's going to be something. Contracts obviously tried invading around level 4, gets punished by Dardoch. You have Phoenix helping out Dardoch, which was pretty good because, like, Dignitas have lacked synergy in most rosters throughout their history, if you really think about it, but specifically the roster that they had with Acadia and Froggen, that one just completely lacked any synergy. Nobody was willing to work or fight with any of their teammates. You know, Contracts coming back into the league, I think, was okay. I mean, they were obviously, you know, pushing too hard for this, game with the 100 Thieves. I think that him pushing this hard and obviously giving up this much advantage early on, your jungler basically walks in and dies trying to invade. He already doesn't even burn his flash. There's so many issues with both these teams before I even go to 100 Thieves. So how Dig even lost his game is, don't even ask that. That's another whole bag of worms I don't even want to explain right now. But overall, I think that if Dig basically want to win any set of games before the split even ends, they're really going to have to buckle down and realize that they have to build a roster, let's say in the future, that has to have some level of synergy. Like, I guess you could say Lorlo, Phoenix, and Dardoch have synergy from the past TL roster that they were on. But that's just not enough, though. All the players have to be on the same page, mostly. And you have Dardoch getting this type of advantage early on, and it didn't really amount to anything. He didn't really do anything with it, and that's a core issue of itself, is that Contracts basically walks in, hands him a free-ass game. They're just like, oh, I mean, hey, I'll just sit here and just lose. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on. Like, where's the fight in this team? I think that at this point, all their fight is over. Contracts, like, you know, consistently tried to force, you know, at certain points during the game. Him and Poom looked okay, I guess, but after that early game invade where he basically failed it, I was like, this looks pretty fucking bad, all things considered. So, those are my issues with Dig. I don't really know if they're really gonna ever fix their issues at this point. It's a little too late, I personally think. I mean, never say never, but you have to look at it from my perspective, and how I'm looking at it is that they have no wins, and you basically have it to a point where, you know, most of the players on the team are basically just running in and not doing anything, and their top side, that's pretty much it for them. They put Froggen and Acadian and Academy. They don't have any rookies to really try out to take a gamble on the rookies, because they gambled on LCS veterans to maybe somehow win an Academy split. That means pretty much nothing. So it's all bad. Management probably has a big issue with having to deal with this, and they basically probably have to go GG 2021 spring split if you want to even be competitive at all. But I do think that Aphromoo has been severely underrated. I like a lot of the things that he's doing now. Him and Johnson are the best part about Dig, but they can't really do anything when the top side of your map is basically just running it down. The game, oh my lord, this game, when he, these TF ults, man, these are pitiful. But now time to move on to 100 Thieves. So, as I've already kind of spoke about 100 Thieves in pretty much explicit detail, the issue with Contracts and Poom is, I don't really know the ceiling of Poom yet. I want to obviously give him a chance. He played, I guess, okay on his recon pick all week long, which was okay. I mean, it's his first game, so I'm not going to really judge him off 2 games. I don't think that's fair. But Contracts making these weird early game blunders, kind of the same thing Meteos did, but it's not going to really get punished because right now they just want to get some wins. I think that right now, if 100 Thieves want to play through someday in that one playstyle that they've been doing, I think that's fine. And you can see right here where Dig were making proactive early game plays, they just didn't really amount to anything, you know? So, obviously, Lorlo getting the kills didn't really matter. Phoenix basically just, I guess, doing his best, what's the mid laner I can think of right now? Knight is basically doing, not Knight, oh my god, that's a throwback right there. Knight when he was on Giants and EU, oh, that's a throwback. Phoenix is basically doing his best fucking worst Froggen impression. Not really sure how to word that, you know, explanation, but for 100 Thieves, if they want to get wins, they're going to have to come up with some sort of a playstyle where you go through objectives and get something. Maybe their plan is Rift Herald, 10 minutes. You know, that's something. They got to get something. They have to do something. Cody Sun, underwhelming split. Someday, underwhelming split. Ryoma, underrated split, I guess. I don't really know what the issue here is. You have Dig, who know how to do stuff like this, but they're not doing anything with these leads, and that makes me go like, are they gonna get more worse? Because you gotta factor in, if you're making plays like that and losing, then they have no confidence at all in themselves. Then later on, 100 Thieves' comp obviously outscales theirs. Their proactive comp has to work out early on. 100 Thieves' comp is basically scaling, and if their thing is scaling, I guess just play scaling then. You know, you gotta get some wins at some point, so if you want to scale, play 40-minute long drawn-out games, do that, get some wins, get playoffs, and maybe somehow, hopefully, it'll work out for you. But those are my issues with the 100 Thieves. Dark was basically running it down, ulting backwards, like, what the, oh my lord, it was so bad. Dardoch, oh my god, man, playing so garbage. But those are my issues with Dig and 100 Thieves so far. So, let's go to this TSM versus CLG game. This was atrocious. This was damn near one of the most... It wasn't even TSM's fault, because CLG just gave them everything. After CLG essentially steals a Baron, not steal Baron. Fucking hell. After CLG steal a dragon at some point, they basically just don't do anything. They give TSM everything. No, I'm not kidding. They just sat there pretty much and just did nothing. They stole a dragon. I guess they got a few kills. Ruin is constantly playing upward and just trying to obviously be so susceptible to ganks. I guess you kind of saw during the game where Wiggly realized that Ruin is going to constantly perma-push all the time. So he's going to have to babysit Ruin, which is going to take him away from, obviously, impacting the map. But it's Wiggly impacting the map, so you know that's not going to happen. So I can't really blame TSM, obviously, in this game. Doublet played pretty bad. I mean, Bjergsen obviously carried them in this game. Highlight, Azir, Quadra kill. You know, that's just what Bjergsen does. CLG did do decent things in this game. Like, if you're talking about laning phase, it wasn't the worst. Like, just fundamentally, the macro was just really, really bad. You know, like, it's so hard to really explain it to people who don't understand, is that they basically stole something and did nothing with the advantage that they got. They were so forgiving during this game. I was like, what are we doing here? They let TSM have everything. TSM won all the team fights. They won every skirmish. They got the Baron. Bad CLG. What are you doing? How do you play like this? And then the only reason why CLG later on got kills was because TSM pretty much, well, didn't really play the team fights out correctly. So I don't really understand, you know, how CLG, well, basically you can understand how they got their wins. They faced a lot of bad teams, so it made them look better by comparison. TSM are now on, I think, a 6-game winning streak, which is pretty good for them, all things considered. I think TSM are the second best team in the league. I think from everything I've seen, it's going to give me a clear indicator of that. I think for TL, they're the third best team in the league, and I think that when you're factoring in FlyQuest, I think they're the fourth best team, and EG is somewhere in that fifth. It's basically a toss-up of who's fourth best, FlyQuest or EG. But I think that it goes Cloud9, TSM, Team Liquid right now, for my own personal opinion. And yeah, basically, TSM had a field day with these guys. That's pitiful. The fact that Riot was pushing CLG versus TSM when we all damn near know it's Cloud9 versus TSM that is the best rivalry in North America. I think that's not even up for debate at this point. There's no way CLG versus TSM is even close to C9 versus TSM. Two teams that have been to Worlds, I guess you could say won international titles if you're counting IEMs. Teams that have obviously been storied franchises. CLG's been, well, was a title contender, then became a bottom feeder, and turned into basically whatever they are right now in the LCS, which is, yikes. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think that CLG is going to be around that 6th to 7th placing for the teams. They'll probably fight with Golden Guardians and one other team. If you're talking about making playoffs, you have CLG, IMT, and Golden Guardians in that race, I guess, for the bottom teams that might make playoffs. But looking at CLG right now, they definitely look like each week. I thought they improved on little things, but this game showed me they still have a lot to improve by how much they let TSM have in this game. They were like, well, we couldn't really win until they threw themselves at us, so we'll just keep running in. Now, I did like later on during the game where, like, you had Pobelter trying to carry his team. You know it's really hard for Pobelter to, you know, obviously carry this team. Like, you can see him flanking, killing carries, killing engagers. They were fighting back as hard as they could, but later on didn't really matter. They really just couldn't do anything. So, I am ready for TSM versus Cloud9. Can't wait for it to be one of the best games, obviously, of the split. And that's it. See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy the Nightwing and Way of Life Esports is signing out, guys. Peace. Have a good day.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.